Baseball season's underway.
Hallelujah, indeed. The second half kicks off today. The All-Star break was much needed for the Cubbies. Chance to get rejuvenated, chance to hit the reset button, reboot, whatever word that has the prefix RE in it. That's what the Cubs had to do. I enjoyed the All-Star break for a change. The Cubs had a tailspin going into the break, going 6-15 in their last 21. And quite frankly, I needed a break too. And I enjoyed it. I really did. Now, about last night, I really started opining for it to come back. But overall, I was nice just chilling, not having to watch the Cubs, not worrying whether they're going to win or lose. But now, baseball is back, and today, the Cubs take on the first-place Rangers, which is no small task because the Rangers are first place in the American League West. Today's matchup features Martin Perez, he of the 3.85 ERA, versus Hendricks Purple Haze, he of the 2.65 ERA, if I recall. My numbers might be off on that, but I think I'm correct in those ERAs. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Baseball's back. This game actually will be on the MLB Network, and I stand corrected. Hendricks' ERA is 2.55, so I didn't give him enough credit where credit was due. Coming out, it's going to be a tough series. It's going to be a tough series. Darvish is getting activated tomorrow, and Lester nor Arrieta will start in this series. So, of course, I want to see the Cubs come out with a bang in the first series, but I'm kind of thinking they're going to lose this series without Arrieta and Lester going. And with Darvish returning, that's a tall task, even though he might be limited to maybe like a 5-inning outing, but still. What to expect in the second half? Well, the starting pitching, it's got to get back to where it was at the beginning of the year. There's no way they're going to continue with this 6 ERA they've had over the previous rough stretch that I referenced. Zobrist, would like to see him come out of his slump. Rizzo, can he stay on fire? He's been on an absolute tear heading into the All-Star break. He was one of the few Cubs that was actually doing shit, despite the fact that they were losing pretty much every freaking game. He's right at 299 now. He's been so hot lately. That Hansel, so hot right now. What other things to look for? Obviously, what moves are the Cubs and Theo, Jed, what are they going to make? What are they going to do? Yesterday, Pomeranz from the Padres got sent to the Red Sox, and the Red Sox sent back their number 4 prospect, Espinoza. Very young pitching prospect. Some think they overpaid for Pomeranz. Other people think that, hey, it's a prospect. Prospect's a prospect. Screw it. Let's go ahead and win now. And that's what Dombrowski does. But seeing that trade, of course, lights the fire for me. Like, Theo, when are you going to get off your ass and do something? I'm sure he's just tearing up the phones. His thumbs are been in the game so long, his thumbs are bruised from fucking texting. So I'd like to see something get done sooner than later, but I'm sure this is going to drag out probably at least another week before we see a move. And this is all likely. This market, especially when it goes around deadline time, is going to be dependent on what the Yankees do. They have pieces. They have Chapman. They have Miller. They have Beltran to move, or that they should move. But we'll see if anybody moves. I'm hoping for the millionth time that the Cubs go out and get Miller or Chapman. I will take either one. I don't care which. Get a left-handed reliever. Pay what you got to pay for it. I don't want them to give up Schwarber, but for me, other than maybe Contreras, everybody else is available. I mean, a prospect is a prospect is a prospect, all right? It's funny looking back at all these deals, and lately there's been articles showing old deals that went down. And I remember thinking at the time, like, wow, this team gave up these 3 or 4 prospects for, I can't remember who right now, but almost without fail, those prospects don't pan out, folks. They do not. I'd love to see the hit rate on top-rated prospects, top 100 prospects maybe. It's not high. I assure you it's not high. There's a really old one that they mentioned the other day. Ricky Henderson, 1989. It has to do with the Yankees. That's right. They were mentioning how that's kind of the last time the Yankees like really sold, and they sent Ricky Henderson to Oakland. And I can't name you the 3 guys they got back because they're fucking nobodies. I saw the names and I was like, huh, what? And the thing a lot of fans have trouble with is that they always hear about the prospects that got traded that wound up doing well for another team. It's like watching the news when all you see is crime and just horrific stories of violence. You see enough of it, you hear enough of it, you think that's the norm. Like that happens on a fairly regular basis, when that's not the case at all. These prospects don't pan out that regularly. Just because you hear of prospect A that got sent in a package and then 3 years later he's awesome, it doesn't happen like that as often as you think. Just as, old folks locking their doors because they're worried someone's going to, break in and kill them because they saw it on the news, that doesn't happen that much either. Violent crimes, I forgot how often they occur, but it's very low. It's probably in the single digits as far as percentages go. I remind my mom all the time, like, this news is here for ratings and to entertain. This isn't pertinent news. Someone got shot today. I need to know that. Why? Anyways, let me get back to baseball. Sorry. Like to see the trades get done sooner than later. I'm also curious to see what other trades that'll go down that don't involve the Cubs. Will people like Cargo from the Rockies get moved? Will Sonny Gray get moved? Some other pieces out there that could maybe move. Pitching is very slim. Typically, you have like an ace, at least one ace that you're like, okay, that's a definite guy that's getting dealt. But yeah, I'm really curious to see who else moves. There's always at least one surprise. Like last summer, I at least hadn't heard anything about Tulo getting moved. Then suddenly it was on East Coast time. I was in bed. It had to be after midnight. I see on the bottom line, Tulo gets traded to Blue Jays. I was like, what the fuck? Okay. So I'm waiting for that what the fuck move, Just someone where you're like, okay, I didn't see that coming. And what I really wish would happen, it's not going to, had circumstances been different, I would have loved for the Marlins to just have a losing record right now. Can you imagine the frenzy, the amount of contending teams foaming at the mouth for Jose Fernandez right now? That would be the rumor of this month, of the next 2 weeks. That would be it. He has, I think, 2 years left on his contract, but the Marlins are the Marlins. So if they sucked, which they don't, that would have happened. And I'm just like, God damn it, I wish they sucked this year. Because before the season started, I was like crossing my fingers. I was like, Marlins, please suck. Because that's one guy I know Theo would give up the farm for just because he's 23 years old. And he's Jose Fernandez. I can't even do that fucking yell. Like the guys over at FantasySportsAddicts.com. Yes, that's FantasySportsAddicts.com, where there's a community of fantasy baseball players that talk all kind of fantasy baseball news, and hell, even fantasy basketball, football, it doesn't matter. They're fantasy sports addicts, and that's right over at FantasySportsAddicts.com. You don't have a community? Get to the community right there. If you'd like to ask them a question, get on at FSAA, which is at letter F, letter S, word double, letter A. All right. Anyways, let me wrap this up. It's getting long. Second half getting started today. As I said at the beginning of this, I'm excited. I like the fact that it's a good matchup. And I'm ready to go. It's I think 2:20 Eastern time. The Cubs start a stretch of, I think 2 or 3 weeks where they don't barely travel outside of Chicago. So this is a time for the Cubs to get right, start the second half on a good note, and get back to their winning ways. Let's extend that lead in the NL Central. I think it's 7.5 now, or 7. Let's get that up a few more games. I can rest a little easier. My blood pressure will come down if that happens. Anyway, let's get it done. Let's go, Cubbies. Second half, reboot.